What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Yesterday, we did have Gamescom that went on for 2.5 hours with the pre-show, and unfortunately, coming out the other end, didn't really go over the best online, but we'll go over every single announcement here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Black Myth Wukong after it launched, absolutely exploded online, becoming one of the biggest releases we've ever seen on Steam. Oh, and then we also have a new console, or an old console that's now new, that's launched here. In fact, it's even going to play some of the original cartridges. So if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members of the channel do get Newswave early. If you'd like to learn more about that, click the join button down below this video. And we're going to start today with Xbox Game Pass games, the Wave 2 for August, which we can see over on the news.xbox.com site. That's right at the top. They are essentially using the beta for Call of Duty as the big selling point here in Wave 2, which the beta does kick off August 30th. They mentioned that on August 28th, you can start preloading, and this is open. It's an open beta, but it's really open to all Game Pass subscribers and stuff. You can jump in there. So, hey, if you've been curious about it, there you go. It'll be open starting August 30th. Now, moving to August 22nd, we do have Atlas Fallen, Cloud, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. I've been interested, or at least somewhat curious about this game. It going to Game Pass is great, but there's a lot happening right now. A lot of games I'm trying to play, and unfortunately, that's one of the situations of it kind of going on the back burner for me right now. We have Core Keeper, Cloud, PC, and Xbox Series X and S, that launching into the service August 27th. And then to kick off September 3rd, we have Star Trucker, Cloud, Console, and PC. Again, the biggest thing here, obviously, is Call of Duty Black Ops 6. They want to start having that at least up front and center for Game Pass, even though it's for the beta, but just start getting that in your mind, kind of relating Call of Duty to the Game Pass service, especially as we head towards launch in October. Also, we did have an announcement here around Gamescom, that being for Pokemon-themed SD cards. This appears to be just a partnership with SanDisk and the Pokemon Company, as you can see the lineup here. We have a Pikachu 256GB card. There's a Gengar 512GB card and a Snorlax 1TB card. So we have them at $33, $55, or $130. Of course, from the 256GB up to the 1TB. They're available now on SanDisk's website, and yeah, okay, so the thing with SD cards, it has been weird to me when you buy them just for the looks. You're really not going to see them much. I guess it's fun to have a purple SD card with Gengar on it, or a yellow one with Pikachu. But once it goes in your, we'll say, Switch in this case, it then closes and you just don't see it again until you take it out. And with the Switch, that's just not very often. So I guess that's just fun. It's like, hey, look, Gengar SD card. Never going to see that again, or at least I won't see it again for a long, long time. But if you want to have the peace of mind knowing that your SD card is themed around a certain Pokemon, you can check them out on the website. Oh, and for fans of NBA who maybe have been looking to upgrade to the current generation 4 years in, it looks like NBA 2K25 will have a PlayStation 5 bundle, which we can see over on PlayStation Blog. This is releasing September 4th. I'm kind of picturing this, I guess, sure, as an upgrade path for someone maybe who has the PS4 and is really into 2K or any of the sports games, but also maybe for Christmas, like the holidays. This seems like something you can just pick up, real easy, put it under the tree, there you go. It does come with NBA 2K25 as a voucher, so keep that in mind. You will, of course, need an internet connection and stuff, which you would really use anyway with the current systems, and be able to download what I would assume to be a large file size for the game. But I assume pricing, while we don't have that released yet, it'll probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 or $510. Just a little bit of a discount there if you had bought the PS5 digital and then NBA 2K25 separately. But just so you're aware, in case you were thinking about something like this, yes, it will be released September 4th. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Gamescom Opening Night Live. Jeff Keighley did show up with somehow a 2-hour show ready to roll. There was a pre-show, but I'm mostly just going to be covering the main show here, as that's where pretty much all of the announcements were happening. And he managed to pack over 40 announcements in a 2-hour show, and to be honest, there's only a couple that are very memorable, or I'll even say impactful. Although, I guess just the scattershot of announcements, I'm sure there's at least a couple things in there that most people will look at and go, okay, that was at least a fun announcement. But We'll start at the top here with Borderlands 4. That, again, good announcement here. They showed Gearbox, they showed that out in space, pick up the mask. Okay, great. A new Borderlands game. This was already teased before by Randy Pitchford on Twitter X, but now we have it confirmed, and it is coming out actually next year, 2025. So exciting stuff there for Borderlands fans. Even though we didn't really see much here at all for the game, coming off of the disastrous movie, at least there is there's a light at the end of the tunnel here for Borderlands fans. Next, we had Call of Duty Black Ops 6. They showed the Most Wanted campaign mission, and so far this campaign looks significantly better than Modern Warfare 3 last year, although it would be very difficult to make a worse campaign. So good news, I mean, they have some interesting mechanics where you're using a camera to take pictures of people, using like retina scans to get through doors, a lot of cinematic set pieces, visuals, lighting, that all looks good. The Omni movement directional system where you're diving and jumping all over the place looks fun. I do have questions about that. With player versus player in multiplayer, I think that could get annoying, but so far it looked interesting here with this campaign mission. So I am much more looking forward to this one than what we had in the most recent Call of Duty last year. Goat Simulator Remastered, that's coming out 2024. We had another look at Persona Reload, the episode coming up, that's September 10th. Dying Light the Beast, this is apparently a 20-hour standalone Dying Light game just in that universe, so I guess just more story, newer characters, check out. Great. Black Myth Wukong got a launch trailer here just in case I guess people didn't know it was out yet. There you go. It is out. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero was also here. Another look at the game. King of Meat. Okay, we have linked banner of the Spark. Lost Records Bloom and Rage is the first gameplay. It's from Don't Nod, and it's coming out February 18th. 2025. No More Room in Hell 2. We had Arc Raiders, that's coming out 2025. Infinity Nikki, this apparently is the coziest open world game. I assume Sean's picking this up day one. It's a pre-order for him. Space Marine 2, the trailer looks great, especially obviously people who have been waiting for this forever now. Hey, September 9th, you're almost there. Predecessor, it's a MOBA shooter, free to play, and it's out now, so you could check that one out. Path of Exile 2. I know there's a lot of Path of Exile fans out there who are excited to hear that early access will start November 15th. Dune Awakening had its first gameplay, and when they were showing it off, there were some interesting elements here. It looks to be a third-person shooter. You have some melee with swords and stuff, almost a looter shooter kind of in there, but you also will harvest resources, you'll build base, you'll craft equipment, and the thing I thought was kind of cool is you can create blueprints and sell them to other players. So there seems to be kind of an economy even around the building elements. There are vehicles they were flying around with, and you can play with hundreds of other people in this open world environment. Temperature also plays a pretty big factor here, and they showed you climbing up the side of a mountain, so maybe it's a good bit of freedom there, we'll see. But it is coming to PC in 2025, PlayStation 5, and Xbox, they say, at a later time. Then we had Reanimal. This is from Tarsier Studios. That does sort of look like Little Nightmares a bit. When I was looking at it, I thought it looks like they left working on Little Nightmares, they wanted to then go make their own original looking Little Nightmares, but hey, it's what they know, I guess. They didn't show a ton of it necessarily, so maybe there's some other elements that we can't necessarily see just from some of the gameplay they gave us, but I guess we'll see more in the coming months. Genshin Impact, that is coming to Xbox. Appears to be November 20th. That was a nice little surprise that got thrown out there. They also have a new expansion, I believe, that's coming August 28th. Monster Hunter Wilds got a bunch of gameplay here. I did like how the monsters were interacting with each other. It looked very smooth, very natural. Actually, it didn't look like you had two monsters that ran across each other and the animations were kind of copy-pasted looking. No, it was kind of cool. Like the big spider-like monster jumped on top of the wolf-like monster, and it looked like it fit together well. So really cool stuff to see that, along with the weather. Could be for some really, really awesome battles in front of you. Naraka Blade Point is getting a Tomb Raider crossover for some reason. Then we have Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves. That's April 8th, 2025. Mecha Break had a trailer. Monument Valley 3, that's coming out December 10th, 2024. Civilization 7, first look at gameplay. I'm sure a bunch of Civilization fans were losing their minds. I just calmly watched this. February 11th, 2025. Starfield, getting a free update here. They have the Rev 8 land vehicle that's available now, so you can finally drive around on some of these planets. Then you have Shattered Space coming out September 30th, 2024. Marvel Rivals, that is launching December 6th, 2024. Secret Level. So this is an Amazon Prime Video series. It'll be tapping a bunch of different video game intellectual properties, franchises. I saw Armored Core in there. They had Mega Man, God of War. So I'm interested, and it's just part of Amazon Prime Video, which I already have, so yeah, sure, why not? We'll take a look, see what we have here. At least it looks very unique compared to a lot of other Amazon or just streaming series in general. Age of Mythology Retold, of course, September 4th. Towerborn, this is an odd one. So it is coming to Xbox at some point. It is launching into Steam Early Access first, though, September 10th. And then I guess Xbox gamers are going to have to wait a bit longer. Just that Early Access coming later. This has been marketed quite heavily on Xbox. It's very strange to see it go to Steam or PC first, but it's just the way it's going here. Delta Force Hawk, that's Early Access and PC in December. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, showed off some elements there with some gameplay, February 11th, 2025. Zenless Zone Zero, there's a new area. Honkai Star Rail is getting a crossover with Fate Stay Night. Sure, there's a lot of excited people out there. Batman Arkham Shadow, the first gameplay, and you know what? This looked great. Like, I know VR games don't necessarily hit with everyone, but this looked like one of the better VR games I've seen. First-person Batman, though. Kind of imagine that. Looks fast, fighting with combos and gadgets. You got the grappling hook. You're gliding around with traversal. Stealth is a big part, obviously. In fact, kind of had that Arkham vision for sneaking around enemies where you can see through walls and have them walking around in their set paths. October 2024, it is a Meta Quest 3 exclusive, though. So you will need basically the newest headset from Meta to play this thing. We then got to look at Little Nightmares 3. Then we had Herdling. That's coming out 2025. Masters of All Beyond with Peter Molyneux walked out on stage. Probably been developing this for 3 years, so okay. I mean, it's developed by 20 people. It looked kind of like a new age black and white. So you have like the city builder, manager, you have these different villagers that you're helping out with, you're feeding them different things. They mentioned you can feed them rats, or, you know, you can treat them normally and give them food. But at nighttime, you do have different enemies that come out, try to destroy your village. And it looks like you can then go down into a third-person mode and control a hero and fight them off. And then you can design weapons and armors and other things there. So we'll see how that one turns out. But I guess if you're a fan of black and white, this kind of looks like it's just sort of the next version of that. Squid Game Unleashed, it's a Netflix mobile game. That's a shame. Unknown 9 Awakening, that's October 18th. Arena Breakout Infinite, full release end of the year. Warcraft 30th Anniversary, there's a bunch of events that'll be happening here. And then we have Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred, that's October 8th, 2024. The first Berserker Kazan, this looks awesome in terms of the art style. The action and stuff looks typical what you'd expect, but just that art style really sets it apart. Early 2025. Aura History Untold, we had a trailer that looks suspiciously like an ad. Then we had Dark and Darker Mobile, kind of the same thing. Floatopia, this looks like Animal Crossing with Harvest Moon elements, I guess. It's coming out 2025. And then we had Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. December 9th, 2024 on Xbox and PC. And then it is coming to PS5 spring 2025. Controversial announcement here because they're not going to let the Xbox have this one for the holiday season before maybe announcing a PS5 release, as been rumored, say, in January. No, they're just telling you now that you don't necessarily need an Xbox to play this one. And then to close out, we had Mafia: The Old Country, which I thought was an awesome announcement here. It's coming from Hangar 13, and just the new Mafia game to look forward to. I think is a great thing to see. Of course, we don't really know much else about it other than the brief cinematic trailer they showed us, but it's setting it up as you'd expect for a Mafia title. Overall, though, with Gamescom, not great. Below average even. There just wasn't as much there to really get excited about. There were some fun announcements. Obviously, if you're a fan of Borderlands and you had to go through the movie, now it all feels worth it because there's Borderlands 4 to look forward to. But if you looked at this show, there's probably about 15 minutes of announcements that people were genuinely excited for, and then about an hour and 45 minutes of people just kind of hanging out waiting for the other 15 minutes to happen. But it's Jeff Keighley wants to have things like a Gamescom Opening Night Live, and unfortunately for him, it seems like it needs to be 2 hours, probably for ads or just agreements that he has, and that's kind of what it feels like. It's there just to be there. But let me know what you thought about the Gamescom event. down below with Opening Night Live. Next up, let's talk about Black Myth Wukong, as it absolutely exploded online when it released. I mean, this was massive. It was to the point where people were tracking the concurrent player count numbers, and they were just absolutely blown away by it. Because when it first launched that night, which it came out a little earlier than usual, for me it was 10 p.m. Eastern, and I did the first hour of gameplay on the PS5 so people could at least see how it was operating there, and for the most part, it held up well. Like, I'm still playing it now. I'm about 7 hours in, and it's pretty much been fine. Frame drops here and there, but not too bad. But you could check that video out if you're curious. However, as soon as it launched, it nearly touched 1 million concurrent players, like immediately. However, as time went on that night, it continued to climb and climb and climb until the next day. You can see just kind of the curve here on the graph over on SteamDB with the charts. It touched nearly 2.3 million concurrent player count. Now, they have it currently set at 2.223, so 2,223,179 for the 24-hour peak. And what's interesting about this is you can obviously tell that a significant portion of buyers here right now on Steam are in China. And we can say that because if you look at the curve of the chart, it went down nearly to, like, at one point, 90,000 concurrent players, and it was pretty much in the middle of the night, early hours for China as everyone went to sleep. And then as they're waking back up in China, you can see the player count number is rising, currently over 600,000 players now. But the big thing here is it's actually only behind PUBG in terms of biggest releases ever on Steam when it comes to concurrent player count, specifically the peak that it reaches. Otherwise, everything else has been conquered by Black Myth Wukong. You can think of Power World. Remember when that was going on? It was a massive thing. Technically, this actually jumped above that. There are some estimates going around right now from different analysts that not more than 12 hours after this game launched with those sorts of concurrent numbers, that it may have topped 5 million sold that quickly, which does show like the how strong that Chinese market is if you can tap into it and they're able to buy your game and check it out. But in this case, yeah, I'd say about 80 to 85% of the buyers on Steam are from China, as people are looking through some of the different demographics that are recorded by Steam. But still, Black Myth Wukong is off and running. It is impressive stuff to see. And while they have it right now on PC and on PlayStation 5, I mean, they're in a good position since they'll still, I'm sure, get a bump from holidays, and eventually it'll go to Xbox, we believe, so there'll be at least another boost there. And who knows, maybe they'll even target, it's hard to believe, but we'll never know, Nintendo's next system. There's a lot of stuff that can still happen here for Black Myth Wukong, and it actually wouldn't shock me if it ended up outselling something like Elden Ring before it's all said and done. And that would be wild if, after all of this with FromSoft, here comes Game Science with a game that people say, oh, it's kind of like a Souls-like. Now it's kind of not. As I'm playing it, I see the influences from these Souls games, but I can also kind of see Black Myth Wukong as its own thing. Like, they've kind of carved out their own lane, somewhere between just regular action RPG and Souls-like. It's almost like the Myth-like kind of genre. So I don't know if that's something they'll continue to build on there, but one thing's for sure, they certainly figured it out with Black Myth Wukong. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a brand new game console. Well, an old new game console that was announced, and this is from PlayOn and Atari. That's right. The Atari 7800 is getting revived because there's a trailer here for it, you can see. And they say the Atari 7800 Plus will support both 2600 and 7800 game cartridges, so you can use your original cartridges here. We'll be able to connect to any HDMI TV and features widescreen or 4:3 viewing for all displays. It comes with a wireless CX78 Plus gamepad. That's the recreation of the classic CX78 controller design, as well as a copy of the 7800 Plus game Bentley Bear's Crystal Quest on cartridge and a USB-C charging cable. To go a bit further here, they do have a number of different games you can buy that are the cartridge. Comes in a nice, I guess, cardboard box there. They have pictures of it on their site, but you have like Asteroids Deluxe, you have Bounty Bob Strikes Back, Berserk, Frenzy, Space Duel. They have a couple of different collections of games for the 2600, and it's really fun to see these because, again, modernized take on older hardware. But even at its price point of $130 for somebody who has fond memories of, sure, the 7800 Plus, but also like the 2600, it'll play both cartridges there. Something about getting newer hardware like this, where your old cartridges work, and it actually outputs to your HDMI equipped TV, is really fun. It's not gonna sell millions and millions of systems. I'd be shocked if it did, but it might be something that people pick up over the holiday season or just order it because they remember this era very fondly, and they sell a couple 100,000 units. Who knows, maybe they do reach that 1 million mark. But I would like to see more companies try this. Specifically, you know where I'm going with it, I would love to see Nintendo attempt something like this with a Super Nintendo or an original Nintendo system and your old cartridges working. I know they did the plug and play stuff, and I'm sure they had a lot of success, relatively speaking, with what they were going for there, since everybody wanted the thing. But how cool would it be if you could buy a brand new cartridge in the box and a system that plays those cartridges from Nintendo officially? Either way though, right now you can look towards that Atari 7800 Plus launching here soon. Pre-orders are currently up on their website. And before we go to the comments of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, give Gamescom Opening Night Live a grade. Okay, C was the leading option here, 49%. Yeah, I guess. 16% for B, 15% for F, 14% for D, 5% for A. Yeah, I'm right in that C to D territory. I'm like C minus D plus, I guess. It wasn't a very exciting show. I mean, there were a lot of announcements there. As I mentioned, there were more than 40 things that they discussed and showed off, but nothing was super impactful. I guess if we didn't know about Indiana Jones going to the PS5, which has been rumored for quite some time, that last sort of reveal would have been like, whoa, okay, hold on a minute. And then Mafia, that was really cool as well. But looking back on this, I just don't think there's going to be much that people go, oh, you remember that Gamescom where this game got announced? Even Borderlands 4, while it was exciting, it really didn't show us much, but that's kind of where we are with Gamescom. It's between two bigger shows, that being Summer Game Fest and then the VGAs. So Jeff, I guess, is doing what he can with what he has, but does he really need to have an Opening Night Live like this every year? Probably not. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Daniel. It says, how strange would it be if John wore his glasses for Random Newswave and just never mentions it? I do have new glasses. Like, they look different than my older ones, and I could just randomly wear them at some point. The thing I like about not having to wear glasses when it comes to filming is, like, so people don't realize this, a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, setting up the lighting correctly is paramount for videos. And when I have glasses on, there's a glare if you don't have the lights in like the perfect position generally above you. And that ends up being a whole thing if you have to move around to different sets, or even just being in smaller spaces, or just having lights closer to you. So it is nice to be able to just set up lights as you want without having to then look and make sure you're not reflecting lights back at the viewer here. But yeah, maybe one day I'll just randomly show up with glasses and see what it does to the comment section. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. And if you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll have it right next to me in a card. And maybe you wanted to find out a bit more about Black Myth Wukong and see one of the best openings to a video game ever, I'll have that right below it. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.